Hello there, and a very warm welcome to you. I'm really excited about this, which is my first video of the year. I had an extended break over Christmas as I got COVID and just wasn't up to making some more videos, so it's really lovely to be back. And this quarter, I'm going to be focusing on looking at toxic relationships, toxic people, and narcissism within the workspace. My videos are particularly aimed at entrepreneurs and leaders, but there will be useful information for people in other settings that will help you break free from toxicity and get to where you need to be. So, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and click on the bell so that you get notified of the videos that I'm going to be putting out over the next few weeks, all about toxicity in the workplace. So, as I said, we are going to be putting toxic people in the workplace under the microscope, and I'd like to kick off this series with a look at a grandiose sense of self that we can find in narcissists in particular. Now, in classic or overt narcissists, it's very easy to spot that inflated ego, that inflated value of themselves, because they are very much out there, and their inflated opinions about their abilities, about their uniqueness, about their entitlement are there for all to see. But this sense of entitlement and this sense of a grandiose perception of themselves also exists in covert narcissists, but is presented in a very different way. Let's have a look at some of the traits that you might find in a covert narcissist displaying this grandiose sense of self. Bearing in mind, however, that you may have somebody who has one of these traits or who displays one of these behaviours, but of course that doesn't mean that this person is a narcissist. It's when we get clusters, it's when we get repetitive behaviours that we have an inkling that we are dealing with a narcissist. But in any case, the tips that I'm going to give you at the end will help you deal with that behaviour, whether it is coming from a narcissist, from a toxic employee, or whether it is just a one-off incidence of behaviour. A classic trait we come across is a false humility, where the toxic person, the narcissist, believes that they have done something amazing or believes that they have these super talents, but will put on an act of being humble or being uncertain about their achievements in order to draw out positive reactions and praise from other people around them, from you as their boss or from their colleagues. So this could look like somebody saying, oh, I've really messed up then, or I didn't manage to keep to the time, or I'm not sure how that presentation landed, I spent so long preparing it. Just anything at all that might, to the untrained ear and eye, look like this person has some real self-doubts, but actually they are very convinced inside that they have done an amazing job, better than anybody else could have done, and they are just wanting to elicit praise and attention. Because remember that the narcissistic supply that a narcissist needs is attention, is adoration, is praise. They need to feed on other people's inflated appreciation of them. Something else you might observe is a subtle downplay, a subtle-ish downplay of somebody else's achievements, and by doing so are giving themselves an opportunity to big themselves up about something they did. So you might hear them say, for example, yeah, Pete's presentation this morning was quite good, went quite well, but it just wasn't as complex as the one I delivered last week. But of course, not everybody can deliver to that standard or can handle that level of complexity. So you're getting mixed messages when you hear them making a downplay of somebody else's work and just slipping in there that they have managed to do something that was more difficult, more complex, and managed to achieve that in a better way, to a higher degree. You will realize over time that a toxic person and a narcissist are not team players. So they will always try to take the lead, take control, put themselves on a pedestal, but in these various devious ways. So during a team meeting where collaboration over a new project is taking place, you may hear something like, well, I'm happy to collaborate, but I noticed that all the other times my ideas were the most appreciated, seemed to be agreed on by all the team. So I'm happy to collaborate, but I actually think that it's in everybody's best interest for me to take the lead on this again, even if that wasn't your plan as the leader, as the manager or the CEO. But they will present it in a way that looks like they have everybody's best interests. They just want the best for the team or for the organisation or for the product or whatever it may be, but it involves them having control and everybody following their lead, which wasn't necessarily the original intention, especially if you have a group project. So something else to watch out for. So what can you do if you notice that this sort of behaviour is happening in your workplace and sabotaging your project, sabotaging the way you want to work? There are a few things that as a leader you can do in order to reduce the impact of this behaviour, perhaps whilst you're deciding what your longer term strategy with this person is going to be. First of all, you need to make sure that all your policies, all your guidelines regarding teamwork, group work, the definition of responsibilities and the division of tasks and clearly defined roles are absolutely crystal clear for everybody, so that you can easily refer back to them if you have to have a conversation. And on that note, it is really important to have an early conversation, not to leave this and think that it will settle down of its own accord, because the chances are it won't. You are going to need to take the bull by its horns and take action, have a conversation. Do not be drawn in to pandering to the toxic person's need for appreciation. Do not begin to walk on eggshells in order to keep the peace or to prevent a blowout, but have a clear conversation where you are sticking to the facts and referring to those guidelines that you need to have in place in order to remain robust and in order to protect everybody in the organisation. You also have to have at the back of your mind a very clear idea of boundaries. Of course, these are reflected in the guidelines and job descriptions, etc., that I've already mentioned, but you need to be clear on where the boundaries are so that you can jump in and reinforce those, and it therefore avoids becoming an emotional discussion. It's factual, it's referring people back to the boundaries, to the guidelines. These are the best ways that you can handle toxic behaviour within your team. If you have had experience of dealing with a toxic person in your workplace, I'd love to hear about your experiences and how you handled it. If you have any questions about situations going on currently in your workplace, I'd also love to hear your questions. Obviously, we keep everything anonymous, but you can pop anything in the comments and I will either cover the questions in future videos or give you a quick answer there in the comments. If you have any requests for topics for me to cover in future videos, I would also love to hear about that. So put all those things in the comments or follow the links in the description to contact me directly, and I will see you next time. Take care.